Hello everyone, this is High Priestess Tana. Thank you for tuning in to Tana Temple Healing Works. I hope you all are having a beautiful 4th of July. Have fun. I know it started raining here in Michigan. It was really hot earlier and then it started raining, right? So what I wanted to discuss today is the movie Metropolis, right? And how it has impacted today's society when it comes to AI, when it comes to science fiction, the music industry, the film industry slash movie industry, and other artists such as Janelle Monáe, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, Madonna, and several others who have also incorporated this artistry in their work, right? I hope you all are having a beautiful day. And also, I would like to take the time out to thank everyone who's here who took the time to watch this video. In advance, I would like to thank you. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you again for returning and sharing this beautiful energy on my platform. I'm trying something new, y'all. So I like talking about certain things. I want to talk about certain things that I haven't touched on before. And I also want to talk about from an astrological standpoint how the movie Metropolis, came out back in 1927 and how it affects us today. So, let's start off with the movie Metropolis. It was actually released in 1927. And in the movie, you will see a lot of biblical references, like the Tower of Babel. So that's something they touch base on. And I'm also getting like this savior type of situation. There was a character, I believe her name was Maria. And if you think of the name Maria, you also think of Mary or Marie, but it's specifically Mary. Mary is like obviously a biblical name because of the Mary is the mother of Jesus Christ, or the Messiah, the Savior, the Redeemer, however you want to put him, Jesus of Nazareth. So she was in there and it was given like this, I would say, biblical text with good versus evil. And also you have this other character who was like a mad scientist, and I believe he gave up, was it his, I want to say his right hand for science or something like that. So it's kind of giving me like that situation with it's, I don't want to say like Masonic ties or whatever. I don't want to go too deep into that, but I do want to touch base on that a little bit as well. So it's kind of giving me like, I'm thinking about like the hand of God and then also like the hand of glory. So yeah, with the sacrificing, I believe the right hand or whatever. But yeah, so also we have a situation with them talking about time, right? So that was heavily influenced as well, like this big time machine. And if you looked at the, I would say the city or the metropolis, um, it was very advanced. And it looks back then, it looked how people would think things will look now with flying, vehicles or whatever, something like out of the Jetsons. It was very, was it what they call Art Deco, or yeah, like it was very, I would say futuristic, but back in the day you had like, I believe it's called Art Deco, with these different geometric patterns that look very similar to like ancient Egypt. So a lot of Egyptian influence. It looked like some of the designs may look like a papyrus or very geometric, like pyramids, something like those angles like of pyramids. You also had how would I say it, like it was just a lot of biblical references going on, basically kind of like, I want to say it kind of reminds me of like I would say like pretty much not just biblical, but speaking from a futuristic standpoint as well, because you have all these different references and it looks like the people were enslaved, like they worked a lot. And it's kind of giving me, well, speaking of a biblical reference, like the Israelites, if I recall correctly, or Hebrew people who were like slaves and they were building this city And like I said, to go back to the Egyptian reference, like they look very like the architecture with the Art Deco stuff. It was very Egyptian based looking, very influenced by Egyptian art. So I'm just thinking back like all the different things that I saw, even with the robot. Like the robot was very futuristic, right? So yeah, the woman who was, I believe that was the same lady who played Maria. And I'm also thinking about Sophia as well, because Sophia was supposed to be like a female version of kind of like a female messiah or something of that nature. I believe that's what Gnostic teachings. I'm not really into that per se, but from my understanding, she's like kind of like that savior type of energy, like almost like a female Christ type of figure. So yeah, but with this robot, and it's got me thinking about how we're supposed to be in a new age, right? But even back then, this like these ideals were like so ahead of his time. Um, well, in this movie, it was so ahead of his time, and I just felt like a lot of things that were discussed, it was like taboo, pretty much. Let's see. There were, oh, this machine that remind me of Moloch, or was it Baal, whatever, Baal, where people pretty much, they get worked to death pretty much, and they get thrown into this machine that kind of remind me of that deity. And that deity was known for like people would sacrifice their children, from my understanding, to that specific deity. So that was another reference. And I talked about the Tower of Babel a little bit. If you look at the infrastructure, I believe of this, I think it was like this laboratory or something, or this place where the mad scientist and this other guy resided, and it looked like the Tower of Babel in the Bible. It was, the architecture was very similar, and you could tell, let's be honest, like in a metropolis, you have a diverse group of different people there, right? I'm originally from Detroit. That's also known as a metropolis as well, because they say Metro Detroit. Metro is short for metropolis. And in a metropolis, you usually have a blend of different people most of the time. But in Detroit, even though it's predominantly African American, but you have other cultures. You have Middle Eastern people, you have white people, you have Hispanic people or Latino people, Asian people, you know, everyone is there. So yeah, but of course, in each metropolis, you're going to have a dominant group of people. That's just what it is. But it's a blend, okay? Even in ancient Egypt and Greece and different places that were well known, they had metropolis as well. And then you had a what they call it, necropolis as well, which is a like city of the dead, but we're not going to delve into that. But that's what the energy was really kind of feeling weird like that, you know, in this movie, because it was a lot of dark energy that resided in this movie. But overall, I believe that they were showing that, and they were showing that the world was going to be affected by eventually like AI, right? In a sense, because when you think about it, there's a AI robot called Sophia. And this lady name was Maria, if I recall correctly, which is kind of like another version of Sophia, if you ask me, in a sense. And they're showing that the world is going to be like through this AI. Like Sophia represents wisdom, knowledge, esoteric knowledge, hidden knowledge in a way, from my understanding. So what does AI represent? The AI, when you go to Chat GPT or OpenAI or whatever, and you ask these questions, what do you get? A response. Like you're talking to a human who's very knowledgeable. That's that same energy, but also a rise of feminine energy as well. So they're saying like it's time for, I guess, like the feminine energy to rise. Like there's a shift of the feminine energy rising, and as well as knowledge being intertwined, coming from the wisdom of a woman, the possibly like divine feminine, obviously.